right, so we need to talk about Boston, ladies and gentlemen, because when you take a step back and look at everything together, the picture is not looking good. You have Michelle Wu, the mayor, getting booed in public at Fenway Park where the Red Sox play. You have a court system in Massachusetts that has already seen nearly 2,000 cases dismissed because too many defendants went without lawyers. The state does not want to pay. And while all of that is happening, they are finding funds to take care of migrants, and no worries, they're not concerned about legal status. And so we got to break it all down. As always, if you do enjoy the content, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know. Stay locked in with all the future videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit all for your notifications. That way you never miss when I drop. Let's get right into it.
Welcome Governor Healy and Mayor Wu.
Honestly, this is the Democrat Party in a nutshell, right? Right now, this is the Democrat Party. So seeing them get booed at an opening day event, sporting event, shouldn't really shock anyone. This is not some mystery. Baseball crowds in general, I think more than other sports, tend to be a little bit more conservative, I would say, as far as the big three. When you think about football, basketball, baseball, I think baseball tends to lean a little bit more conservative crowd anyway. And so the reaction was pretty predictable from the jump. And when you zoom out, it makes even more sense because the Democrat Party overall is not exactly sitting in a strong position with the public right now. And that brings us to the next part of this story, because while the city leaders are out here trying to project control, Massachusetts has been dealing with a legal mess that is so bad, courts have literally been dismissing cases, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you heard me correctly. Private attorneys appointed to represent defendants who cannot afford a lawyer. Many stop taking assignments because of pay. And the way it works is defendants without counsel after 7 days can be released from custody, and after 45 days, their case must be dismissed. And it's reported that nearly 2,000 cases were dismissed in Boston municipal and district courts. And so, no, this is not some little paperwork issue. This is not some minor courtroom scheduling problem. We're talking about a system so strained that the cases are being tossed out because the state cannot keep up with the lawyers in place. Take a listen.
Erica, Ben, advocates say the SJC's decision is disappointing and they'll keep pushing lawmakers until they're fairly compensated. Now, the issue centers on bar advocates, private attorneys appointed to represent people who cannot afford a lawyer. Nearly 1 year ago, many stopped taking new cases, protesting what they say are low pay rates. The shortage led to 1,687 cases being dismissed in Suffolk and Middlesex counties as of last month. Lawyers asked the SJC to allow judges to raise pay. Today, the justices declined, saying pay decisions belong to the legislature, not the courts.
I can see that if this is not addressed seriously within the next 5 to 10 years, the private bar, in terms of their ability to represent injured defendants, will crumble. It has started to crumble.
A statement from the Committee for Public Counsel Services reads in part, "We are going to continue our advocacy efforts in the State House to ensure that the private attorneys who take our cases are compensated appropriately for the hugely important work they do for our clients."
So because the state could not provide people who were arrested with a lawyer, and that's a right we have in this country, you know, that if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you. And the state wasn't doing that. And because of that, you just can't hold people forever. They had to let these people go. Now, I'm sure some of these people were probably innocent, but there were also several instances of victims being beaten by some of these people. And they were still let free. And you had the victim speaking out, talking about how could you? And so it's causing quite an uproar because these people are just being released back into the street. Let's continue.
Maria, that's right. We're talking about 145 cases involving everything from attacks on pregnant women to assaults on police officers.
Matter will be dismissed without prejudice. The matter will be dismissed without prejudice. The matter will be dismissed without prejudice. Thank you.
Case after case dismissed today in Suffolk County, all because the defendants have gone more than 45 days without an attorney. Among the charges dismissed, assault and battery, gun offenses, vandalism, drunk driving, and violating abuse prevention orders. In one case, prosecutors say a pregnant woman was attacked several times by the same suspect.
Defendant dragged the victim out of his car, punched her multiple times in the face, causing severe noticeable injuries by the police officers.
It's a result of the work stoppage by bar advocates, private lawyers who defend suspects who can't afford an attorney. They stopped accepting new cases in May. They want the state to pay them more.
And so basically what you got going on here is a situation where the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court said judges cannot raise pay on their own, and that funding the system is up to the legislator. The court said the attorneys had not shown the kind of extraordinary circumstances that would justify judicial intervention. And so basically, everybody in power has an excuse. The court says it's the legislator's job. The legislator says it's working on it. And the lawyers say for all the work, the caseload that we're expected to keep up with, the pay's not matching at all. And meanwhile, the public gets the consequences. And that's how these people govern. Everybody got a statement, nobody has a fix. And while all of this is going on, they're able to make sure they have funds for the city of Boston when it comes to Michelle Wu, right? And she announces $4.5 million for immigrant services. And so even though the distinction may be what's happening on the state level, what's happening with the legislator, what's happening on the city level, like with the city of Boston, and so they're not directly correlated, they are connected. And when you talk about politically, visually, what people are seeing, they're seeing a legal system in crisis, cases being dismissed, and the mayor out front announcing millions for immigrant services. That's where you're going to naturally have people questioning where the priorities are lying at. So check it out.
The people of Boston founded this country on the principles of community and freedom for everyone. And those are the principles that we're continuing to fight for.
Boston Mayor Michelle Wu there taking on the Trump administration with a new announcement. The city setting aside millions for immigrant services.
News Center 5's Matt Reed is live in Boston with more on this new program. Matt.
Well, Jessica, the mayor announcing that this funding will be used from everything from purchasing diapers, second language education to legal services for immigrants.
Whether your family has been here for generations or you are a new resident in our city, we will not let anyone storm into Boston and disrupt our community.
Now, the private-public partnership is about $4.5 million worth of funding, $1.3 million from the city of Boston, and more than $3.1 million from three philanthropies: the Boston Foundation, the Barr Foundation, and the United Way of Massachusetts Bay.
Boston has always been a city shaped by immigrants. And when our immigrant neighbors are threatened or vulnerable, we do not stand aside. We step forward.
Even though Kristi Noem is out, the harms of this administration remain. And it's important for us to be ready.
Now, several speakers today acknowledge that this money promised is just a drop in the bucket compared to the federal dollars that have been withheld by the Trump administration going after so-called sanctuary cities. The mayor and these community leaders hoping that the announcement of these grant dollars will inspire other organizations and individuals in Boston to take similar actions to help vulnerable members of their community. Reporting live in Boston, Matt Reed, WCVB News Center 5.
And so when people look at this and say, why are folks upset with the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, it's not just one funding announcement. It's a pattern that they're seeing with the Democrat Party. They're seeing this mayor here publicly and intentionally signal where their priorities lie with migrants. And here's the problem. To the average person, they don't sit around parsing the technicalities of budget silo and which branch of government controls bar advocate pay, and they just look at what's visible. They see dismissed cases. They hear about people being released on the street. They see a mayor announcing money and resources for immigrant communities, regardless of legal status. And they ask the obvious question: why does it feel like government always finds its urgency somewhere else? And so now when you circle back to the boos you heard at the beginning of the video, and this is why the Fenway Park moment does matter, because it wasn't just some random sport fan behavior. It was a public reaction to a bigger mood. Whether people know every detail or not, they can feel when a city is off balance. They can feel when the institutions are wobbling. And so, yeah, when you put it all together, here's what you get. Boston and Massachusetts are dealing with the legal crisis serious enough to produce nearly 2,000 dismissed cases. The state's highest court has basically said fixing bar advocate pay is the legislator's job, not theirs. And while all of that is hanging over the system, you got the mayor, Michelle Wu of Boston, publicly rolling out $4.5 million in immigrant services and continuing to push Boston as a sanctuary city. But those are my thoughts. Now let me hear from you. Drop your comments down below. If you enjoy the content, smash that thumbs up. Best way to let me know, subscribe to the channel for more. And as always, until next time.